my era of coming up, a lot of cats weren't going to school. It was either you had it or you didn't. You know, it was a vibe thing. It was a feel. It was a tone.
Welcome to episode 69 of the Bass Shed podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. Trickfish Amplifiers, trickfishamps.com. Stop by their website, check out their line of cabinets, bass heads, and preamps and accessories. I remember talking to the guys at Trickfish, and we were we were both geeking out about how we love like little bags and cases for everything. You know, and I just started, I think, playing the Minnow, the single channel preamp. I'm like, dude, I need a case for this. Like, can we just make a little case for this? He's like, oh yeah, I think that needs to happen. I love the guys over at Trickfish. Stop by trickfishamps.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed for 10% off. Double bassists, stop by lemurmusic.com for everything you need for the double bass. Not only everything you need, probably a bunch of stuff you want also. Everything you want and need for the double bass can be found at lemurmusic.com. Stop by, check it out. Their collection of bows, basses, bass accessories, preamps, and more. lemurmusic.com. Tsunami cables come with a lifetime guarantee and they look really, really cool. Then that's, come on, that's the thing. We're all vain. TsunamiCables.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed for 10% off. Stop by the website. Also, check out the V15 preamp. You can listen to my chat with the owner of Tsunami Cables, Keith Sticks, on episode 51 of the Bass Shed podcast. Stop by Tsunami Cables. Use the promo code TheBassShed and save some money. All right, on the show is electric bassist Rufus Jackson. Rufus has toured and recorded with Alicia Keys. He has also worked with Nas and Angie Stone. In addition, Rufus plays with gospel artist Hezekiah Walker. His work with Hezekiah is really what provoked my interest. I was really curious to speak to a bassist from that culture and style. Rufus will discuss performing with these artists. He'll also speak to some lessons he's learned along the way about how to adapt to different musical scenarios. I think there's a lot of insight there that's really beneficial for all musicians. There's also a topic that seems to permeate almost the entirety of our conversation. The topic is the changing of the times. That's a topic that comes up regularly on the podcast. I loved hearing Rufus's perspective on it. I feel like there's a lot of insight there about how to navigate the changing of the times. Equally important is his perspective on his value system and where the bass falls into all that. That was really inspiring to me, what he had to say. What he had to say that was really inspiring. I had a great time. Talking with Rufus, and here it is. Here's my talk with bassist Rufus Jackson. You're in New York right now, correct?
I am, yeah.
Nice. Born and raised?
Yeah. Actually, Jersey. Same thing. Jersey, New York. Yeah.
Okay. Now I hear it in the accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Nice. Man, I was interested to talk to you because gospel playing is such a specific thing. And I feel like there's no real academic approach to it. You're either like came up in it and you got it from being in the culture, or you just sound like you're trying to come up, like you're sounding like you're trying to do it, but you didn't, it's not in your blood the same way.
Yeah.
So was this your experience? You came up playing in church and in the culture?
1000%. Exactly.
Nice.
You hit it right on the head.
So how old were you when you were, cause I know like I've done some of those gigs back in the day, and that's when I realized like you either have to come up in it or like you don't have it, is when I got put on like my first and second gig, in that thing. And the church will start them young. I remember like a drummer one time being like 10 years old.
Yeah.
He was like the preacher's kid or something, and he was crushing it.
Exactly.
Did you get started at a young age?
Same thing. Yeah. But my situation was more of come from the drum side of things.
Okay.
So I started as a young age. I mean, before I could touch both pedals, playing drums. And, I just, from there, I graduated, into the bass, probably late teens.
Okay.
late teens. Yeah.
Okay. Was that at a necessity for the church? Did the church need a bass player, and so you hopped on bass, or did you hear something that really ignited that for you?
It was more just inspiration,
Yeah.
influential. I saw some guys that I were cool with, and they were playing bass, and I liked what they were doing, and I kind of graduated to it, very, very slowly.
Okay.
And then, just kind of picked it up from, I guess you can say, a necessity.
Yeah.
There's a ton of bass players now, but back in the day, they weren't as, it was more drummers and keys than it was,
Right.
top bass players. So,
right.
Yeah, that's how that kind of went down.
Okay. And so this is late teens. And then after you picked up the instrument, how long till you started kind of working on it, working, professionally on the bass, or even like how long till you started getting together with dudes and playing in garages or sessions or whatever?
Yes, I never really did that. So my whole thing, I'm a PK, so I'm a preacher's kid.
Okay.
So, I've been playing a long time and playing with other, if you want to say dudes, whatever, guys or cats, in the church, at my pop's church.
Sure.
But then I didn't really come through that whole, garage, playing around the neighborhood and sessions and stuff like that. It was just, I kind of got plucked out and plopped in and plucked out and plugged in there. And, you get plopped in with the right people, you kind of ride this wave, connection to connection.
Sure.
So I was pretty fortunate in those areas.
Okay. And then, so did you ever pursue music or the bass in any kind of academic setting to just get some knowledge? What I love about gospel cats is like specifically organ players. They drop all these changes, and it's just like, what?
Exactly.
And the dudes that come from like the highbrow schools don't even play stuff that hip. Like, so it's like this, they just hear it, they just feel it. And it's very much this kind of, you just do it vibe. Yeah. Did you ever pursue any kind of institutionalized study?
To answer your question straight, no.
Okay.
But I always wanted to, always desired to do it. But my career moved professionally so fast.
That's great.
So quickly.
Yeah.
I can't say I didn't have the time to do it, but what I was known for, I was already good at. And then my era of coming up, a lot of cats weren't going to school.
Right.
It was either you, like you said, like you mentioned at the top, either you had it or you didn't. You know, it was a vibe thing. It was a feel. It was a tone. Now everyone's going to school and everyone's educated, but when I'm 47. So when I was coming up, 80s, early 90s, it was either you had the feel, had the tone, or you didn't.
Right.
And so that's what I studied. I studied mimicking records, other guys, and I always picked up the feel and the vibe of it. And that was my education.
Man, I love it. I mean, I'm so passionate about that approach to education and that approach to being a student, because you can institutionalize the thing and go back and break it all down. And like, here's what some jazz guy did on these chord changes, but it's not the same. And I feel like there's an element, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, about dudes even playing, younger guys playing, that they're in this like anti-social style of playing. It's not a cohesive band situation. It's okay, let me do this till I get my turn to play a bunch of notes. Then I'm going to play on my bunch of notes and then just kind of wait it out till I get to do that on the next tune. And it's not this social, we're all in this together to create one big, feel together.
Correct. And it's funny that you say that. I mean, to just add to what you're saying, personally for me, if I was just starting out right now to play bass, I wouldn't be a bass player. Because I love the guys now. They're incredibly talented. But again, the way I came up, I'm not as inspired by a lot of guys today. I won't say guys. Let me not like pinpoint that, but just the sound. I'm not as inspired. I love it and I like it and I respect it, but I won't sit there for hours mesmerizing to play like that, like I did when I was younger, because they just had a certain feel. Yeah. Now it's not as fluid. It's more choppy. Yeah. It's like you said, it's my turn. Yeah. And this and that. And so, I don't knock it. It's just, it's what it is now.
It's a changing of the times for sure. Yeah.
1000%. 1000%. Me, I'm a tone guy. Yeah. If you could play 1,000 notes or just be phenomenal on bass, but if your tone is not right, yeah, you're not really going to connect my attention.
Right. Yeah. It's that. And I think and I'm sure you'd agree with this, the genius to me of a bass player comes from making everybody else sound good, right? That's our role, is to literally lay a foundation. We sound great by letting them sound great, Yeah. So I don't know. I agree with you though. All these guys doing all the fancy stuff. It's fun to watch for a minute. And as a bass player, I can respect the time and energy it took to get that together. Like, oh man, that's a lot of dedication. And I understand the work that went into that. I respect that. But it doesn't have a swagger. It doesn't have a thing. I don't put it on, like that's kind of that's a big test for me. Like, am I going to put this on and listen to it in my free time? No.
Yeah.
It's like a museum piece or something. Like, I'll go look at it, but then I drive home and I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, and again, these guys now, they're amazing. A lot of them are, my peers, they're just incredible players. And, I enjoy listening to them. I do listen to them and I dig it. But again, if I was to be an aspiring bass player now, I probably would pick something else up.
Yeah. What would it be? What's your like backup?
I always wanted, I think I love keyboard, I don't play, okay. But I always wanted to, so
what's the fascination? What's the fascination? Like, I think I'd be a saxophone player. I'd love to feel what it feels like to just do your thing on top of a band, like play the other side of the bandstand. I'm captivated by that.
I just think the equipment is cooler. Yeah. you can, I mean, what do we have? We have, I mean, let's take away key bass, right? We have the electric bass. You can go 4, 5, 6. Yeah. You can go acoustic. And then where else we're going? Right. With keys, you have the organ, you have the mains, you have the aux player. You know what I mean? You have, and you can have like 4 or 5 keyboards, and and we're the only ones that when we travel on gigs, we got to bring our equipment. Keyboardists, they just show up. It's on the back line.
Right. Especially if you're an organ player, like it's already there.
We're in the airport lugging stuff. Oh man. Drummers, they take too much energy. I used to be a drummer, but there's just too much energy.
Because of the gear?
All around and all that. No, just playing.
Yeah. I know. I
got lazy sitting back playing.
All good, man. All good. For real. So you're in your late teens. You pick up the bass. You talked about your career accelerating quickly. What were some of the big kind of landmarks in those early days for you?
Man, my first one is right from my dad's church. I got put on through the current drummer who I rock with now. His name is Jeffrey Leslie. Okay. He introduced me to the Hezekiah Walker gig. Yeah. Right off the bat, got on that gig, played one of his most famous records, Power Belongs to God. Okay. Played on that album.
Is that the album that's all gray, like different shades? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was the first one of his I bought, actually. That's hilarious.
Yep. So I played Power Belong to God. That was that kind of put my name through, the community. Yeah. And from there, probably less than a year or maybe a year from that record dropping, I was working with a guy named Andre Gill and got put on the Alicia Keys gig. Okay. And from Alicia Keys, everything changed from there.
Right.
That was a wonderful run. About 3.5, close to 4 years with that. The whole song's an A minor run.
Okay, you played that whole record?
No, I played the Life song called The Life on there. Okay. A lot of the record was already done.
Yeah.
The song's A minor. When she became an artist, she did a lot of those songs, I believe, when she was younger too.
Okay.
But I played The Life, and from there, working through her, I got a slew of other, top line records with Christina Aguilera, Nas, Mario.
Okay.
So things took, it went, from my dad's church to Hezekiah Walker to Alicia. And then, I've been moving ever since. Cool.
Love it. Were dudes, did you have similar guys on each tour? Were the bands hiring like kind of the crew, or were they hiring individuals? As you would move from,
Yeah, individuals, yeah.
Nice. Man, I remember when that Alicia Keys record came out. That was, I remember back then. Yeah. I mean, there's still some of those tunes have just become kind of standards. Like you just play every R&B gig now. Like that's just what it is. What year was that? What year did that record come out?
Oh man, let's say
98, 99?
99, 2000.
Okay.
Around there somewhere. Yeah. 99. Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking when I first listened to it, I didn't like the drum programming. I thought there was too much kick drum on it. Yeah. There's like this kick drum is like going nonstop. But her voice, and the tunes are fantastic.
Yeah, she was different all the way around. Everything about her, she was just different.
Yeah.
She was just different.
Yeah.
For that time frame.
You still work with her?
No, I did after we did about 5 tours, again, about 3.5 years. She took a long break between songs in A minor and the Diary album.
Yeah.
Then things switched up a little bit, and then I took off from playing for some time, and then I came full circle I've been back with Hezekiah Walker for some time now.
Okay. What happened? Yeah. Was there some kind of family tragedy or personal thing, or you wanted to reassess? What was the sabbatical about?
They just switched up. Switched up. Yeah.
Okay. But you were still playing.
Yeah.
Okay. I misunderstood. I thought you took a break from playing in general, like in your life. You just stopped.
Oh, I thought you meant from the Alicia situation.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? No. So let's rewind a little bit. I did. No family thing or anything. That's probably a whole nother podcast to explain, where I was at that time. But I just took about 2.5, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Away from just playing bass, period. Like I literally put the instrument down.
Really?
And just got into other things. Got real heavy into production.
Okay.
And it didn't, after a while, it just didn't inspire me anymore, playing.
Yeah.
That whole Fallen run with Alicia was just so intense. Like we were really moving, and it was a lot of playing. A lot of traveling worldwide. And when I came back, it was just, I just kind of wanted to do something different. Had nothing to do with music. It just, no tragedy, no nothing. Just as a man.
Just a little, did you get a little burnout of the same show repetitiously?
No, I just wanted to
see what else was up.
Grow as a man, just as a person, just life, period.
Yeah.
Family, all that good stuff. Just family, just kind of build. You know. Then I came back, and then been playing with Hez ever since.
Nice. Has that been pretty steady since everything's been opening back up? You got some tours coming up?
Good. No tours, but we are rehearsing for recording at the end of the year.
Okay.
I believe in September.
Okay. The whole choir, recording. The big deal.
Yeah, it should be a good situation. He hasn't recorded in a while, so this should be a pretty good situation. A live album.
Nice. Live album. Nice. Yeah. Now, when it's not a live album, when it's in the studio, how does he get that big sound? Is it multi-tracked? Is it everybody in there live? Are you doing multiple takes, or is it one take with everybody? What's the process for his records?
I believe they're all. I haven't done a studio session with him in a while, but I believe the last 2 records, which I wasn't a part of, they're all in the studio at the same time.
Okay,
I believe. Yeah, when he did his last 2 records, I was still on the road.
Okay.
When they recorded them, yeah.
Who were you out with then?
I was with Alicia.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's been that long now.
Those records were already, I believe those records were already done. And the latest one, I had broke my hand. I was supposed to be on a single.
What happened? What happened? Man,
and I broke my. Listen, we got 2 or 3 podcasts we got to do to tell my
stories. Man, okay. Let's talk about this for a second because this happened like, no, it's been a while now, maybe like 8 years ago or something. But I broke a glass doing the dishes and cut between my index finger and my second finger on my right hand, like really bad, bleeding. Like I lost a lot of blood, almost passed out. I had to get like stitches on the palm side and the outer side. And I had an existential crisis. Like the whole time I'm freaking out, like, will I be able to play again? Am I going to have mobility? Yeah. Like, am I going to have full feeling?
Yeah.
How did this feel for you? Which hand did you break? Left or right?
Right.
Okay.
4th metacarpal bone, right down the middle.
Oh.
Yeah. We had just came back from Africa with Hezekiah Walker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to play. I always play. I'm a baller. I play basketball. I'm a hooper. So I always usually play on a weekend.
Okay.
So I never used to have the opportunity to play on the weekdays.
Yeah.
With the guys. So we came back like on a Sunday. And so I was available to play on a Monday. So I said, let me go to this gym on Monday. You know, I haven't been able to play with them on a Monday. Went there. The floor was a little slippery. Pump faked the guy. He went up in the air. Big muscle dude came down right on my hand.
Oh.
And broke it. Boom. And we were rehearsing for the single Better for Hezekiah Walker.
Okay.
And broke my hand. I think probably, don't quote me on this, but maybe like 4 or 5 weeks later, they recorded the album and I'm in the cast. I remember when I told them. Yeah, no, I didn't play it.
Oh, okay. Okay, they got somebody else.
One of my peers. One of my peers had to play it, but that was a lucky break.
Yeah, no pun intended. How you feeling now? How did it come back? Did you?
Oh, I'm good now. Yeah. It was very scary.
Of course,
it was very scary during and after my cast came off. During, I can't say I was depressed, but you know the stories of because I wasn't gonna get surgery.
Okay.
But he was like, you know, if you don't get surgery, it's when it heals. You know, your hand is gonna be, you know, not right. You know, so we elect to get the surgery and so the chance of you playing again, you know, we don't know. We have to see.
Oof.
So during that time, I was a little thrown off mentally,
of course,
you know, and, you know, it was the first time I ever broke any bones. So being in the cast, it was just kind of like you had all these thoughts in your head or whatever. But the real challenge came when they took the cast off and probably my first 2 or 3 gigs coming back, I thought, this is not going to happen. My hand, the whole forearm was stiffening up when I play.
Yeah.
Because those strings obviously is you know, is tension.
Yeah.
You know? Right. And so when you break your hand, all those ligaments going up through this forearm is affecting.
Of course.
You know, so I had a really hard time.
And now
a lot of therapy.
What if I understand this correct, and I hope I do because I've been teaching it for years. The index finger and the middle finger each have a tendon, and then you know your ring finger, and your pinky share a tendon.
That's probably true.
Okay, I think that's kind of the makeup of the hand, and only I would talk about that when building hand strength to students and stuff. So it was your ring finger that was really got messed up.
No, this one next to the pinky.
Okay, yeah.
But you know what? No, it was the bone on this one here. But however, even now, like it's actually these 2 fingers, this ligament that's going here is really
that are connected to your index and middle.
All of that. Yeah.
It still get tight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do exercises? How do you
it doesn't bother me crazy.
Okay.
But if I'm playing for an extended period of time and I don't stretch, you know, or whatever, it will, depending on how much
it'll tighten up.
It'll freeze on me mid gig.
How did this change the action on your bass? Did you lower the action on your bass after this?
Oh, the action on my bass. I'm old school.
Okay, so yours is high already.
No. Backwards. Back in the day, my action is like buzz is our friend.
Okay.
Buzz is our friend.
Okay.
Oh man, because I'm a very to segue into something else. I'm a very rhythmic player.
Yeah.
I'm not really melodic.
Okay.
As melodic as a lot of guys today. So I get that thump and that percussive tone from having that low action and that buzz.
I see. The action on my electric is on the low side of moderate, maybe. But then my upright, it's a little higher. And I remember, this is years ago. I think Ethan Farmer sat in on my bass one time, and he just was not a fan.
Yeah.
he didn't dig it at all. Like Ethan couldn't get his thing out, all the slap situation on my bass. And we were joking around about it afterwards. And so I kind of just assumed to get that big sound with all the slap and stuff, the action was higher. I thought you wouldn't get the same percussive nature with the lower action.
Well, no, that's where it is.
Oh,
that boom, 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 that bass drum. That's when that's.
I mean, I know you can get like really sharp snaps if it's lower, but like to dig in with the thumb, I always thought it was a little bit higher.
No, I play hard too.
Okay,
I play hard. Yeah,
nice.
I guess it's a balance of technique when you're doing it so long.
Yeah,
it becomes second nature.
Sure.
To where that tone is, because it can be. You'll have guys that'll pick my bass up and they may feel like the action is too low. It may be a little sloppy.
Yeah.
But that's perfect for me.
Okay.
It's like I play hard but light at the same time.
Right. So it's got some intensity, but you're not overdriving the instrument.
Yeah.
Because that's the delicate balance, is like really getting after it and dig it in, but not overdriving the instrument. Because then the notes don't speak.
My friend. Buzz is my friend.
You play a bass mods, right?
Yeah, bass mods exclusively.
How long you been with them?
It's a big question. I'm terrible with years, man.
That's because 2020 didn't exist. Like that through the whole, you know what I mean? Like we just fast forwarded all that.
I've been with bass mods. I could be wrong, but I want to say 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
What were you playing before them?
Warwick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was endorsed with Warwick.
That's a name I don't hear a lot anymore. I remember them being huge in like their late 90s.
Yep. That's
when you were with them.
I got the endorsement with when I was with Alicia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the rig? What amp are you playing?
Right now, I'm endorsed with Phil Jones bass.
Yeah, I like their stuff.
Prior to them, it was all Aguilar, but
okay.
I'm endorsed with Phil Jones now. Very, very good amplification.
Yeah. I checked out his stuff. I'm interested in his stuff because of all the small stuff they make that are great for like small jazz gigs. Like, that's what kind of got me hooked. And then I met him at NAMM a few years ago and like got to play through the stuff, and he's telling me all about it. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of it.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Aguilar just sold, didn't they?
Aguilar, I don't know. Did they?
I think so. I heard about that. Like Aguilar sold to somebody.
I'm out the loop. Wow.
Yeah. I'm like moderately in the loop. Like I hear things but I don't ever research it. I don't have the time to, I got things to do. I can't spend my time researching did Aguilar sell. Whatever. Okay. So after Alicia, you take a little bit of a break. You get back into it. Was it then Hezekiah exclusively, or were you still touring with some other acts? Okay.
No, Hezekiah exclusively. I'm comfortable there. I like it there. Again, I don't move around much in the local community, like open mics and things like that. I don't really do that much. It works. Very comfortable.
Cool.
Decent profile, high profile gig. Still, it's good.
What kind of? I mean, does he tour churches? Does he tour performing arts centers? What are the nature of those tours?
All the above, really.
Okay.
It's nothing. The good thing I like about playing for him is, when you get older, you just it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so it kind of works. He does everything that's at a certain level. You know, so it's still churches, but we're not doing like, you know,
right, some utility
you know what I'm saying?
room.
It's all at a certain level, whether it's a conference, whether it's you know, a main show or a radio show or anything. It's always, you know, he does all the above, but it's always at a certain level, which is great, you know.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And the maturity of the music. I love the maturity of the music.
Yeah. When does he write? Does he have an MD he writes with? What's kind of the nature of how this music gets generated?
In terms of his
what he records? Yeah, his albums and what you guys are playing out on the tour.
Yeah, he has writers. I believe they send them songs, send them records, and you know, if it's something he likes, then they'll come and introduce it.
Okay.
The music director, Jules Bartholomew, amazing writer.
Nice.
You know, so he's always on the record. He wrote a lot of his top hits. But yeah, so he doesn't really like sit there and write a whole song type situation. He has, you know, songs that people send to him, you know, and he'll listen. And if he likes it, then he'll add his, you know, his element that takes it to the next level.
Sure.
You know, what he brings to the table of any song just makes it what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
From spending so much time with the Hezekiah and playing on the records and touring with somebody who's in the gospel genre, and you yourself come from that. What was it like? Was it a culture shock to be out on the road on some of these just R&B tours that are high profile? They could get a little rowdy, for the lack of a better word.
You mean like when I went to Alicia?
Yeah, Alicia and some of those other sessions you did, or like, I mean, I remember when I first got to LA, the dude who engineered Chronic and Doggy Style was calling me for sessions, and I get to the studio, and it was a scene. It was a scene.
Yeah.
Like, you're just walking into the studio and like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's something else.
I tell you, if I'm gonna be really honest with you, it was a huge coming from, you know, that Brooklyn sound, Hezekiah Walker, young dude. Like I told you, I didn't come through this whole slow journey. I got plopped and plopped, right? So which was very fortunate, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But let me tell you something, man. It was a huge culture shock. Yeah. Going into the Alicia Keys gig. I mean, I probably got fired about 4 or 5 times without getting fired. Easy. And I tell a lot of young guys, man, like, when I tell you I got Andre Gill, man, if he ever listens to this, you know, many times after rehearsal, come here, let me talk to you. I mean, because I'm coming right from Power Belongs to God, you know, that whole gospel thing and making everybody move. I mean, you get to that high profile gig like Alicia, man. Nah, man, cut that out.
Well, and her sound is not that. Yeah, I mean, her sound, like, especially that song, like Songs in the Key of A minor, like, that's pretty loungy, chill. Like, there's obviously pocket on it, but it is not a high energy, like, get people stomping. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all that.
It's a different level of just professionalism, maturity to your instrument.
Sure.
You know, and as a professional, you know, let's go back to when we first started the conversation. We were talking about sometimes it feels like, oh, when is it my turn? You know, to chop. But when you get to a situation like it was with Alicia, it was more like you're accompanying an artist.
Right.
You're played the record.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, in some local situations, if you play the record, then you're tagged as corny, whack.
Yeah.
You're not good enough.
Uncreative. It's uninspiring to the people that you're playing with. Like, you know, we've all played this tune 1,000 times. They're not giving me anything to work with. Let's not go with that guy again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was a major culture shock. I had to really retrain, you know, in order to, you know, sustain my job there.
Yeah.
How to be in this environment, you know, and adapt to a different. So my whole approach to my tone, my sound, my feel, listening to others, playing along with others, really shaped who I am today, to be honest with you. And it's been my biggest blessing, but it's also been my Achilles heel, because Hezekiah Walker is very disciplined to the 100th power.
Okay.
He don't want a lot of movement. He loves groove. It's different from like playing with Alicia, but in the gospel context, once you got that group, stay right there.
Okay.
And let it feel good. Don't just go off on your own tangent and doing what you want to do. He'll give you a look. So coming from that, which you had to be disciplined, then going to Alicia, which you had to like a whole different game. Mm-hmm. That's been my career.
Yeah.
So when I go, if I have to play, someone asks me to come and fill in for something, and I hear everyone is playing great, but to me it's chaotic.
It's really it's kind of reshaped how you even are listening and interpreting it now.
Absolutely. And I just want to play the music.
Yeah.
But I don't fit. And that's probably why, and it's an Achilles heel, because I should be a lot more creative, than I am. But, to me, it doesn't really, I leave that for the younger guys now. Yeah. I do what I do. I do what I do. And that's that. But, that's been my career, just very disciplined playing. Even the music directors that I came under, they were just very intentional about playing the record. And that's how I'm wired.
Yeah, I was curious about that, because it is easy to listen to the gospel sound and think that everybody knows the framework of the tune, but then everybody's still kind of playing loose on it. But what you're saying is like when you tour and when you're playing with Hezekiah, you're copping the record like pretty tight, or do you have some wiggle room in there? You do a small percentage.
You know what? You do have wiggle room, but like for instance, we're rehearsing for a live album in September.
Okay,
now, I'm going to be playing the records.
Cool.
So the time that I have to be creative is now.
Yeah.
Because once it's printed, that's what he wants to hear. That makes sense.
Right.
So if I'm playing on his shows now, I have to kind of
you better slip it in and like hope that
yeah.
Right, get him to sign up on it early.
Exactly. There you go. So the time, what you're gonna do to put your vibe in it, to put your stamp in it, your signature, your voice, is the time to do it now. So that when the album comes out, it's on the record. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
and you're already and you're loose. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's how that works.
when you went back to Hezekiah after Alicia and you had learned this, you got it handed to you a few times and like you came back with this different perspective. Did he notice that? Did he recognize it? Like, oh man, there's something's a little different. You're coming at this music a little differently.
I don't know if he noticed it. Because I was working with him for so long prior to, it was just like, come home, I
just
came
a welcome
home.
back hang.
Yeah. It's and I've always had this disciplined approach anyway. I mean, that's how I came up. I came up again. What's in my system, what's in my blood is that feel, that vibe, that groove, stay right there. 16 bars, you playing, you laying in it and making it feel good, So I've always had this disciplined nature anyway.
Yeah.
But, again, Alicia is just a whole different level of it that you had to kind of like.
Right. Really fall in line with.
Yeah.
I mean, those are big tours and that was a big record.
And to add on, what I really learned was the choreography of what we're playing. So for instance,
I like that word choice.
Yeah. So with Alicia, it's like for the drummer and everybody, you had to hit this 10-inch splash at this exact time because that's a cue for the dancers. Yeah. My slide is a cue for the drummer. So you had to play the exact same, not just playing the record. You had to play the continuity of it, the texture of it, all. A certain thing a keyboard player may do is triggering the lighting guy in the back to, so it was this whole machine.
You're playing the show.
Had to work in tandem. Right. So that's just a whole nother level than just playing a record. It's like you're responsible for cues. Yeah. And what you're playing. So it was cool.
It's cool. It also seems kind of intimidating. Like that's a lot of. Like, if I miss this slide, like the backup singer's not going to come in with the tambourine or some whatever, and then the whole thing's off, and Alicia fires me.
I'm a dinosaur, so I don't know if it's like that now. I mean, it was like that back in 2000. 2000. I don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know either. I'm actually kind of curious to talk to Adam Blackstone about like how these big tours are going and like what the nature of all that is. And in my mind, it's click. Like everybody's just on click. A friend of mine, Dre Bowman, the great bass player for Black Eyed Peas, now does programming for Gaga. And I remember last time I saw him, it was a couple years ago, but he told me he was doing programming for Gaga. And I'm like, dude, programming? Why aren't you playing? He's like, man, I got to just hang off stage and like sit with a laptop. It's kind of killing. I'm like,
exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, everything is so dialed, and I'm sure they all have, something going on in their ears that they have to respond to.
Sure.
Or somebody
all depends on the artist and the
on
level
a talk back.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys have any of that on the Hezekiah tour? Just like MD on a talkback giving you cues while you're playing, or you just have the music so internalized?
Yeah, internalized. It's he could pull a song out, out of his head, and either you know it or you don't know it, crash and burn. So you just got to know it. And his catalog is pretty, extensive. So. But yeah, we're pretty much dialed in. We've been playing for years, the guys, very family oriented.
Yeah.
So especially me and the drummer, we kind of like, we don't have to look at each other, and we're pretty connected. Yeah, it's pretty locked in.
Since he has an extensive catalog of tunes, do you spend any time going back and freshening up some of like the super old stuff, or is it just, he calls it, okay, yeah, I got it?
Yes and no, definitely not like I should.
Yeah.
Cause it's just too much.
Yeah.
He's got, he's got a lot of records.
Okay.
But again, it's not that difficult because I've been playing with him for so long.
Sure.
If he pulls out something that's really left, I'm already familiar with it.
Yeah.
So just like the MD calling out like some blanket, numbers or whatever, I'll fall right in. It's not a big deal.
Okay. But he
easy to fake it till you make it.
Yeah, he doesn't do that live. Just call these audibles. Like you go in with the set list for the tours and you're going to play the show, or is he pretty free in the live concert?
Free with a capital F. there is no set list.
That could go a couple different ways.
that would be amazing if we had a set list. No, sure. It's be ready, man.
Yeah.
Be ready. I mean, the first three to 4 or 5 numbers are pretty, systematic.
Okay. Yeah.
But after that 4th song, just
hold on.
Be ready. Be ready. Yeah.
What about the closer?
Yeah.
I feel like closing a concert is probably just as important as the material you're going to open up with. Does he have the kind of back end of the concert pretty buttoned up to like how he's going to finish it? Maybe there's an encore, whatever, something with the choir. It's all going to be kind of choreographed.
The very beginning and the ending is pretty systematic. It's the body.
Yeah.
It's the body, depending on the vibe, the audience, what they catching on.
Sure.
Some songs can go 8-10 minutes, just vibing on it, depending on the audience, where we are, what region we're in.
Sure.
Sure. And some older songs may have hit in a certain region when it first came out a little harder, so he may bring that back or, something like that. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like and I would obviously love to hear your thoughts on this. I feel like that music is such a reflection of the church experience. Meaning that, like when I was listening to that record that came out, the Hezekiah record, I was also checking out a lot of Fred Hammond, a lot of Kirk Franklin, a lot of those dudes that were like really at the top during that time of that thing. And it's just calling stuff out, and like giving direction in real time as it's happening, almost like listening to a James Brown tune. And he's just going to sit on this groove until he tells the band to go to a bridge. It's very, and then playing those gigs, it's very much like that. Like you're here until whoever's in charge, if you're following the preacher and you're playing behind him, or it's the MD giving you cues, you're here till you're told otherwise.
Correct.
And there's a lot of who knows where it's ever going to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then, it all depends on how you grew up in that, to where, you're always going to have someone giving direction, but you vibe with it and you're so connected to it. You're not really sitting there waiting for a call. You kind of can almost anticipate,
sure.
Nowadays, which is really amazing. Almost everybody in the band, like these younger guys, they're so incredible. I should say younger guys. I mean, just the era, this era right now is just everybody in the band can pretty much call the shots.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like like a bass player can call out the drum. You have the drummers calling the numbers.
Right.
And they say, go to the 3, go to the 4, 6, ride the 1, the drummers there playing, So everybody's kind of calling shots now, which is really cool. It wasn't like that when we were coming up. You had one guy giving direction,
right.
And you followed that direction, and it's funny. I'm terrible. I'll be on the front line. I'm terrible with church music, man. I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Okay.
Church music,
this is hilarious. You're touring with Hezekiah. What are you talking about? You're terrible.
Nah.
This is what you do.
Gospel songs, I'm good.
Okay.
But like backing up, like you saying, like backing up a preacher and church music, and don't call me.
What is it? Where's the disconnect? I'm so interested.
You know
in this.
what? It just never really. And I'm a PK.
Yeah.
I'm a PK, but it just never, like, I know it,
right?
But not enough to, like, these young guys now, this era, they can play that church stuff like they be slamming,
right?
Like that's not. And you know what it is? I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. I think I'm overly disciplined.
Sure.
The way I move.
Yeah.
I don't like all of that audibles inside the song.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like too much is just too much.
I think that comes with age. Like I was doing a gig last Saturday with the singer I work with a lot and do some light coastal touring with. And we had a sub piano player and a sub drummer, and they were young guys. Like the venue didn't even know if the drummer was old enough to drink the drink he was already drinking. And he looked super young. And the music went somewhere else that night. The same book, same collection of tunes.
Yep.
The singer doing it the same way. But the music went somewhere else because these guys had this like young, investigative, playful thing about it, which was fun. But in the back of my mind, it was frustrating me because they weren't actually playing the tune.
Yeah.
Like you're not playing the tune. Do you know the tune? Like what you're doing is fine. Like cool. Yeah. But do you know the tune? Like do that after you play the tune. And I feel me and the singer were talking about it after the gig. And I don't know if that's an age thing because you grow up and you have more responsibilities in life and you just recognize responsibility and do your job. Like
that must be it.
Because I remember talking to the singer. I'm like, dude, do you think we were like that? He's like, oh yeah, we were 100% like that. I was like, man, I got to send an apology email to anybody I've ever played with before I was 37 years old.
Man, listen.
But I think I've been kind of like sitting with that since we did that gig. And I think it's that. I think we grow up in the world and we just deal with responsibilities, and that that connects musically, where you just want to do your responsibility before you have fun?
Listen, I'm so comfortable now saying, man, you nice, letting someone else take it. And be like, because these guys today, I'm telling you, these guys today are phenomenal. I love listening to them. Like, I wait till the choir sings.
Yeah.
These are the songs that they're singing. I'll play that. All that freelance stuff.
Yeah.
Not for me. Not for my nerves can't take it.
I mean, I don't know when it kind of shifted. Like, when did the gospel chops thing really hit the radar in a public sense? I mean, you're coming up in the church, so it's always been there, for you. But it really got popularized, I don't know, mid-90s maybe? Where it really, like, this idea and this almost tagline of gospel chops took on a whole other thing.
Yeah, I think it happened with certain artists and it getting on wax. Mm-hmm. Anything that's printed, that's going to take the influence.
Yeah,
because it's always been there. But when these new artists started coming out that were a little bit more pushing the envelope, those musicians that were on it, they were setting the trend.
Yeah, okay.
So now that trend, you bring in that trend into the church. Right. And now you're inspiring all the new cats that's coming up. And then another record comes out and then another record, let's say like Ty Tribbett, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. They set a whole nother trend of just like that whole sound check and just.
I caught him once in LA. I think Chris Coleman was playing drums. I forgot the name of the bass player, but he was this young dude, like 24. 24 years old, just crushing it. Crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, playing all kinds of stuff. Damn.
You listen to that at home, you listen to it, and then you try to, it's influential.
Sure.
And you take it. Now you got a bunch of guys, it's like word of mouth, but it's word of, it's audible. You hear it, and you vibe with it. And, just how I came up from listening to older records, they had a feel, they had a vibe, they had a tone, and that's what influenced me.
Sure.
Now these new, these artists came out, the musicians on there, they pushed the envelope, they raised the bar. So now, to answer your question, now you have, this spread, right? This spread, and these guys, a lot of them couldn't really pick it up on their own, and they were just inspired. Just education. Period, has nothing to do with gospel or musicians. Just as time went on, people just became more educated.
Right.
People just became more educated, and they started going to school for music, and graduating and raising the bar completely.
Yeah,
completely.
But to circle all the way back to the beginning, raising it in one aspect, because I do think that there's still a deficiency in other aspects. Like both can't be at 100%. If the whole thing's just a pie chart, you can't have this like instrumentalist thing with all the flash. You can't have that debuted and have this complete band sound almost simultaneously, if you go back to those old Motown records, everybody got out of James Jamerson's way. If the drummer played as busy as Jamerson was playing, this would have never happened. They all kind of like parted so that he could play his thing, and they let that exist. So there wasn't room for everybody to do it. And now that's kind of what I guess is the feeling I'm getting is like everybody's trying to do it. Everybody's trying to be like, oh, you got that? Well, check out, I got this. Well, the song has nothing now. Like you just totally robbed from the song to get all these notes out.
It's just so many levels of it now, though. I was talking to someone maybe about a year ago, and they really opened my eyes to it because I was just explaining to how I don't think I fit. And a lot in today's sounds just because of how I'm wired. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, these guys just wired differently. Yeah. But it was sharing with me, it's still there. It's just it all depends on the artist you're working for.
Yeah, of course.
Your core of people you play with and hang around. Yeah. Because the guys are still that like that discipline and like that, just feel and whatever, they're there. Yeah. They're there. And they're artists that are there. But then you also have, that crew or that community may not be as hard on Instagram.
Yeah.
So they don't get the light.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
But the ones that you were talking about, you know, they're on Instagram.
Yeah.
Every day and posting and this and that. Right. And so that's where the popularity is. That's where the numbers are in that area. So it all depends on where you know what I'm saying? Where you hang.
Yeah. Like I turned 40 in January, this last January, and I have a problem with the Instagram musician. I don't really like, I still can't wrap my head around the nature of Instagram. Obviously I know what it is. But the whole thing seems silly to me. People posting these pictures all the time about themselves and like, what? Okay. I didn't even know if my mom took that many pictures of me when I was a kid. You know, now you're doing it to yourself. What's going on? So I don't get that. And then that's a culture. That is definitely another conversation. I don't understand that aspect of it. And the internet musician. I mean, even though like, sure, I'm, you know, doing a media thing right now and we're talking and this will be released and all that, but it's, I don't know. I think you can work something up for a minute or 2 minutes and post it and get all this attention. But like, okay, do you know, if you go to a gig right now and someone calls a tune, can you hang?
Right.
You know, like what's the working world aspect of what you have? And maybe some of them have it. I'm not going to say none of them do. But even when you were just talking a second ago, like you're very sensitive to the role in the working world, not just the check me out world, you know, and
correct.
I'm in 100% agreement. Like you have to do your job. And maybe that's because I'm old and I focus on responsibility now, but you have to just do your job.
If I gotta say, man, I definitely, to catch-22, because I'm not with it.
Yeah.
Me personally.
Agreed.
But I definitely understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But first, to go back to your point, I don't even know if some of them care. Like, for instance,
I'm jealous of that. I completely agree with you, and I'm jealous of that much, that level of like daring or shamelessness or whatever it is. I'm jealous of it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. That they're just like, yeah, here it is, whether it's good or it sucks.
No, but what I mean that they don't care. You was like, you were saying, if I put you on this gig and they call out a tune, can you do it? I don't know if a lot of them care if they can't.
Right.
The fact that I can get 8,000 likes, I don't care
has
about
more value.
Playing that tune, man. I'm getting 8,000 likes in my living room, bro.
Right.
I don't want to play your tune. Like, they don't care, man.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
It's different. It's different. Like I think a lot of guys rather, like, let's talk like popular numbers. If a guy's getting like 10, 12,000 likes, they would rather do that than get on an album and it not being a single, but get on a high profile album.
Right.
Even if it's not the single, like they don't care about being on an album because they got 13,000 followers, 15,000 followers, and I'm getting 10,000 likes every time I post every day. That's enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
That's where they cash out. Yeah.
They don't care. So like you got the older guys saying, get off Instagram, do this and this and that. They're like, we don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you got the guys that are really, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped posting. I used to post like once a week, just covers, just because I love to do it.
Yeah.
And I may start going back to do it, not because I have to or need to, just because I want to. Yeah. But it's so saturated now. It becomes an underlying competition. Even if you're not competing, it becomes one. And people, the first thing they look at is how many views did you get?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care, but that's how they value you.
I know.
And that's what's crazy, that I feel bad for the younger guys now because you're valued. How people treat you is completely predicated on how many views they see you get when they go to your page.
Yeah.
If you get 200 views and you're super nice and you can like really good, but the other person is just sloppy, but they're getting 10,000 likes, they're going to rock with that guy.
I know.
And then they're going to think you're whack.
Yeah.
Because you play, the record, and you're mature and your tone is good and you're clean. You're whack. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's the struggle. It's a struggle to become valued.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a deep conversation right there. It's like where that
and these guys gotta do it.
Yeah.
They gotta do it to stay relevant.
The young guys?
Because they full time, they out there. They,
that's
it's
their
just
gig.
like that's their gig. They don't have the whole high profile gig. So they have to stay. And it's so saturated. It's so many guys that are nice back from when I was as opposed to when I was coming up, that you gotta stay top 10, top 15 of people's feed. Or you're out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Even if they only getting $600 every 2 weeks. From a $100 gig here, a $200 gig there. It's just like, I got to keep my 10,000 likes up.
Yeah, you got to stay in people's face. Yeah, then I mean that's not even
I understand it.
A bass conversation or a music conversation. That's a cultural conversation about how people engage with one another and then how they purpose value. I mean it's probably all wrapped up in an episode of Black Mirror. Is what it's probably the best way that it's been said. That show's dark but brilliant. I love that show.
Yeah, these guys are hustlers, man. I love them.
Yeah, when coming up and going through this cultural shift of that, how have you been able to stay centered in what your worth is as a musician and not get caught up in the internet game?
My life outside of music.
Yeah, I like that.
It's probably more solid than the bass in my hand.
Yeah. What's your life outside of music? Do you have a family?
Yeah, I have a family, beautiful 6-year-old daughter. I have a son who's a junior in college.
Oh, wow.
And I'm family first, man. I mean, anybody that scroll on my page, the first thing they're gonna notice is that I'm a family man.
Yeah.
With my daughter, like that's the first. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Bass comes second.
Cool.
Bass comes second.
Very cool.
And so I'm very solid off the bass.
Mm-hmm.
And I work now. I'm not full time anymore.
Yeah.
I went into the working field years ago.
Okay.
So if I never play another note, I'm very, very, very well taken care of.
Yeah.
So that just makes it easy for me to deal with all of the stuff.
Right. All the stuff that just happens on the scene.
Love everybody.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not one of the crabs.
Right.
Trying to scratch for it. I'd rather push, these guys that are phenomenal, because they have to, this is what they do in their livelihood. I'm very comfortable pushing them and, encouraging them and letting them get their light because, I'm cool, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you being willing to bring that up because a lot of musicians always look at joining the working force as like this admission of failure that, the musician thing didn't work out or it only didn't work out because you weren't good enough. I feel like there's that subtext involved with musicians getting into the workforce. Where it's not music related, or if it is, maybe it's behind a desk or it's not on stage. That if you're making money somewhere else, then it's this omission that you can't hang. And I think that's pretty pathetic. That idea permeates the musician culture the way it does, because that's not at all the case. Whether you can play or not is completely outside of what you do to make money, Yeah. And that's whatever. That's whatever.
Yeah.
What did you end up getting into working force wise? Is it music related or is your other job?
No.
Okay.
No, it's compliance. It's compliance in terms of real estate.
Oh,
like the liaison between like attorneys and like a lot of these high profile buildings that you see. Like I make sure that they stay in compliant.
Okay, with what codes and stuff like city codes?
More so regulations of housing.
Okay.
How they get tax credits and so forth for allowing some to be, housing or to construct a new property.
Yeah.
Making sure that the percentage of what they allow to be, area medium incomes are all, New York is very, very meticulous when it comes to like all types of tax credit incentives and so forth. So I make sure all that paperwork is intact.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I'm good at it. It's not who I am.
Sure.
You know, it's not who I am. But for me, you know, and this is why I still play, and this is why, you know, Hezekiah Walker playing there is just great. You know, for me, if one thing was going to take a back burner, it would be playing.
Okay.
You know, I you know, to have the steady income, the type of income that I have.
Yeah.
You know, it just works for me. It doesn't work for everybody.
Sure.
You know, like if I was still with Alicia, I'd probably be fine. So like, you know, there are guys who are doing it, you know, high profile. I just didn't want to be a guy that's jumping every 6 months to another gig.
Right.
I got to a point where I didn't want that for me.
Yeah.
For
no,
me.
I completely understandable. And then jump into another gig and then selling your life for however long that tour goes. Yeah, you're not home. You're not around. You're not connected to, you know, your family at home or your local community. Like that's, I never was intrigued by touring kind of because of that. Like, you know, a bass player when I was young who did some higher level gigs. I remember him telling me like touring is cool when you're on stage and you know, you're playing in front of other people. And if somebody recognizes you off stage, that's the only time it's cool. Everything else, you sell your life. So if you ever want to go on the road, make sure you think about that. Is this worth selling your life for? And I thought about that at a young age and took it to heart. And it was never something I was interested in. And
it's a very touchy subject too. I mean, you'll have a whole army of guys who will argue you down, you know, on the opposite side of it. Like, no, but you know, you're doing something you don't love and this and this and that. I love what I do and this and this. And so, I mean, I don't knock anybody's situation, anybody's hustle. My whole thing was this, and this is how I say it.
Yeah.
Whether you're full-time music and you're doing it this way, whether you're in the workforce, my whole thing was family.
Right.
If you're able to hold it down comfortably, take care of family benefits, all that good stuff, and you're not having to worry about this and this and this and that, then that's, if you could take care of your family's happy with what you're doing, then that's, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is. You know, mine was family first. That was my choice. Yeah. You know, and I still get to play at a level that I like to play.
Right.
So for me, I get the best of both worlds without having to be away from home for 3 or 4 months. Right. You know, or, you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you know. I mean, I don't know what the New York scene's like. You know, I know that LA has its own version of competition, you know, and everybody's trying to go meet the guy and shake the right hand and get on the gig and do that thing and just landing some of the big tours until you get one. You know, my friends that have big tours, they land one, then their name's in the hat and they continue just to stay there. But years ago, like 10, 12 years ago, when I was watching a lot of friends trying to get their first major tour, that was their full-time job, going out. Where's the MD at tonight? Okay, cool. Let's stop in. Let's sit in, you know, like I'm not even going to have anything alcoholic because I have to be clear-headed while I'm out here. It's all a business. It's always a business card. Yeah. That just seems exhausting to me.
But I say this though, for those that haven't done it, I encourage them to do it. It's just don't unless you're on a major career-oriented gig and just really high profile in that loop,
right?
Where you're always jumping onto the next huge thing, which I have a lot of peers who always stay on a major gig. Unless you're doing that, experience it while you can.
Yeah.
You know, but know when to jump off.
Right.
You know when to jump off. You know, don't get stuck out there and, you know, you're losing your manhood at the expense of doing what, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If I'm making sense, you know,
of course.
I don't want to rub anybody wrong.
No, yeah.
But like, I experience it. I encourage all the young guys to experience it. Get out there, tour. I've done it. I did it. But, just know when. Everybody has a different time frame. Just know when to, settle down. And
I think that's a great perspective, man. And it reminds me of, I'm into history. Like I'm really into history. And there's in the ancient Olympics, when they would do the long jump, I heard that these guys had like weights in their hands when they would do the long jump. And so at a certain point, like they're about to jump and they would fling their arms forward and that would give them more momentum. And now there's a tipping point where those things in their hands, those weights that gave them momentum would drag them down somewhere in the jump. Yeah. So the technique of the long jump then was knowing when to throw those forward to lose the dead weight so that they could go further. And so what you were just speaking of made me think of that, like knowing when to get rid of things. And that, man, that's a deep conversation too, just in life, you're always 1000%. Going through these different phases and knowing when to get rid of old habits, old mindsets, people, being comfortable to step into something new and not feel like a failure because, the past didn't end up turning out the way you thought it would. In my experience, none of it ever turned out the way I thought it would. Like if I look back on my life, since I've been playing for like the last 20 whatever years, like no, none of it. I'm not Jaco Pastorius, so none of it turned out the way I thought it would. But
I like continuity, man, too. So like if I could tour all the time and have these breaks, I'm cool with that. But like after the tour is over, that musician life, I don't like. That in between.
Were you trying to scrounge up another one?
Yeah.
I think that's important, man. I think that's important. And I'm glad you're saying all this stuff because I think it's important to know yourself that well about how the individual functions within the scene and within the machine of being a musician, because it's just an industry. It's a machine. How do you function within it, and what aspects of it do you want to tap into, and what don't you? And I think it's really important to choose your own adventure for what works for you as a person and where your personal values are, and sticking to those.
I'm not good enough either for the in between stuff. I need I need a set list.
Are you the firstborn?
No.
Oh,
no,
really?
But they think I'm the oldest.
Okay. Okay. Just like that kind of structured mentality. Like my older brother has more of that than I do. It's typically you come from a big family?
No, just have an older sister.
Okay.
No, just older sister. Yeah, she's. I'm 47. I think she's 50. She'll kill me if she hears this.
Yeah. You got an older sister who's 32.
Right. It looks 32.
Yeah, great.
That's what they prefer.
Yeah. How about your son? Is he getting into music at all?
Nah, he was. He's a ball player, but he's majoring in like the IT area.
Good for him.
He's a brainiac.
Good for him.
He's unlike his dad. He's got it up top in the head. He's doing real well.
And then you mentioned you were getting into some production. What kind of things are you producing?
I did.
Okay. Clarification. Past tense.
That was during that interim. I'm back on bass, man. Sitting on a porch with a lemonade and iced tea.
Nice.
I'm back on bass, man, and just enjoying these guys, these phenomenal guys, man. And sometimes I try to pick up what they doing and copy it, But and they still try to do what I do. I mean, I do what I do, and I'm very solid. At that. And
that's great,
I'm comfortable with that. Yeah,
that's great, man. Hit me up when the new record comes out. We'll have you back on. I want to talk to you about it. I want to talk about the recording process. I want to talk about the nature of the record in general. This was a blast, man. This was a blast.
It was definitely fun.
Yeah.
Definitely fun.
All right, dude. Stay in touch. We'll have you back on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rufus.
All right. Great. All right.
right. That was my talk with Rufus Jackson. I love how transparent he was about joining the workforce. I do think that there's a bit of a thing there with musicians. Maybe it's ego, or maybe it's not, where it's you got to earn your whole living just by playing. I always find it cool when musicians are open to talk about joining the workforce, and just all you're doing is having employment somewhere else. Not a big deal. It doesn't mean you can't play. It doesn't mean that you're any kind of failure. It doesn't mean anything. It means you just decided to go earn money somewhere else. Not a big deal. So I loved that he was so transparent about that. And I look forward to having him back on the show and hearing about the record he's doing with Hezekiah Walker. I'm also really interested to hear the record. All right, I do have some new things up at thebasshed.com. I've started the Funk Volume 1 group of transcriptions. I got a couple Bernard Odom transcriptions and videos up there. Next is one more Bernard Odom transcription. Bernard Odom was the bass player with James Brown from 1956 to 1969. The next in line was Bootsy Collins in the James Brown, timeline of bass players. So I will have some Bootsy with James Brown bass lines coming at you. Stop by basshed.com, check those out. Bootsy's not up yet. Bernard Odom is. Bootsy's coming out this week. So hopefully by the next podcast, I will have some Bootsy info for you. I really want Bootsy on the podcast is what I want. Man, how awesome would it be to have the podcast intro just with, oh, it's Bootsy, baby. That would be the best. Check that out for James Brown enthusiasts, funk bass players. I got some transcriptions up there, and more are on the way. And stop by YouTube and subscribe to the channel there, where you can get all the downloads for free of the transcriptions. That's all I got for this one, folks, and I will catch you on the next one in a minute.